Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me at the art table again today. Some time ago, I made a video on the series Akane Banashi, a manga discussing the weird and very different world of professional rakugo. I'm going to link that video down before because I don't intend to completely recap the premise of the story here. Instead, I want to discuss how the story has evolved so far and what I think it says about media today. Because if you recall that video, or if you've just gone back and watched it, you know that Akane Banashi is very interested in the modern media landscape and how traditional forms of performing art can make an impact in this very different media environment. Rakugo is a performance art where a single person tells a story to a watching crowd. Much like a novel or comics, this doesn't seem like it would have a lot of appeal that can stand up to the flash and the pizzazz and the wow factor of modern media. So as this art form struggles to survive, competing against radio and television and now the internet, we see that it has tried a number of different things to make its mark. My previous video discussed Issho Arakawa, the man who formulates Arakawa's law. Arakawa's law states that any time applause is decided before the art is experienced, it is a sign of weakness. Weakness is not something that can be tolerated in an artist attempting to make their mark with a traditional art form in the modern environment. Instead, the artist must offer an overwhelmingly powerful experience to their audience, or else they will simply become distracted and seek out something else to do. Arakawa's law is very harsh. And it may seem like it's so harsh because Issho Arakawa is by nature a harsh man. But if you think that, I think you really don't have an appreciation for how hard it is to make any mark in the modern media environment. Now, I am talking about this again because after about a year, we finally have a rebuttal formulated by Akane to Issho Arakawa. When last we saw Akane, she had promised she would prove Issho Arakawa wrong, using her father's rakugo, which Arakawa had previously despised. The story structure that has brought us to this point is very interesting. It is another rakugo competition. Remember, Issho Arakawa and Akane confronted each other at the end of a previous rakugo competition, one that Akane won, but in a somewhat underhanded fashion. It was a competition for amateurs, and Akane was, at this point, for all practical intents and purposes, a professional. She hadn't officially debuted yet, but she had been studying under a master of the art form for almost a decade. Hardly a fair competition. Furthermore, one of Akane's opponents is one of the people that she defeated in the previous rakugo competition. A voice actress who was initially looking at rakugo as a kind of stepping stone to her career. One of Akane's other rivals is a salesman who left his career as a salesman behind to take up rakugo, which is an interesting parallel as well. Akane's father gave up rakugo and became a salesman, and I can't help but feel that that was a deliberate choice as well. This inverse echo of Akane's father in many ways shows that there are routes open for someone like Shinta, Akane's father, to make his mark in rakugo. Salesman techniques really do translate into performance art. In fact, many of them are a performance art of their own kind. However, as in the previous competition, these two rivals serve to underscore the thematic conflict that is taking place. Akane has chosen to perform a rakugo story that has been passed down to her by her father, but not directly. Shinta hasn't actually taught Akane anything. He's not a professional rakugoka anymore. But there are people on the professional circuit who remember him, and one of them agrees to teach Akane to tell the story as Shinta performed it. Akane's goal, after all, is to prove that her father's approach to storytelling, her father's approach to performance, has merit as a way to perform rakugo. Akane's rivals embody Isho Arakawa's philosophy in how to tell a story. Both of them use their own unique techniques cultivated in their life outside of Rakugo, outside of the performing arts, to create dynamic and very funny approaches to telling their stories. They offer something that has the foundation of that overwhelmingly powerful performance that Isho Arakawa was looking for. However, Shinta Arakawa was not a powerful performer. He was a subtle one. He was a very gentle and nuanced performer. He did not specialize in raucous stories or even overtly funny ones. Shinta's specialty was the more gentle and warm-hearted, affirming human stories. And that's very interesting. Akane has performed Rakugo in the story many times, and each time she has spent a lot of time in that very direct and forceful, powerful, almost confrontational approach to humor and storytelling that Isho Arakawa advocates for. In fact, while she claims to have come to the Rakugo world to prove her father's merits, in doing so, and in seeking out Arakawa for a direct confrontation, she has acted much more like Isho himself than like her father. Over this story arc, we see her cultivate a deeper understanding of the motivations and nuances of characters, which is all very interesting. But what she ultimately arrives at is that kind of tender-hearted and gentle storytelling that made her father's technique so appealing to her in the first place. Rather than present us with something so funny that the audience is forced to laugh, we see an audience that is enraptured and drawn into Akane's story with an understanding of the text and subtext of what is going on, the layers that make the characters who they are, the affections they have for each other, and how those affections are expressed in very abrasive, sometimes offensive ways. There is humor in the contradictions in these characters' motivations and actions, but the true appeal of Akane's storytelling in this instance is the warm, familial feeling of settling down around the table with old friends. This, then, is the other way that Akane Banashi offers us as a way to make traditional storytelling stand out in the crowd. Rather than an overwhelmingly powerful emotional performance, rather than extreme highs and heights of excitement or laughter or tragedy or loss, Shinta and Akane strive to offer real human warmth and emotion to their audience. They invite the audience in to sit down and enjoy a few minutes respite from the stresses of the outside world. And when I read this, I got very excited. Not so much because this is a thunderclap aha moment, light bulb on, all inspiration firing and ready to go, but rather because it is exciting to see that there are other people out there thinking along the same lines as I have been. If you've watched any of my videos on the modern day myth and how I think it comes up short, you know I think that one of the things people are looking for in media right now are opportunities to take shelter from the constant demands of modern life. It is true that people are bombarded by a constant plethora of low, medium, and high quality storytelling. But almost all of that storytelling is built on Arakawa's law. Give the audience that overwhelming experience that will grip them and never let them go. Frankly, it can get a little tiring. Add on Western entertainment's obsession with these moralizing messages, this attempt to build an entirely new moral and social framework from scratch, and, well, it gets tiresome pretty quickly. You can say that all we need to offer them is a better kind of overwhelming experience, and I think there is some merit to that. But the Osani rebuttal to Arakawa's law is important to keep in mind as well. Offering people a real bit of human warmth and an opportunity to just relax. can go a long way to making you stand out in the crowd and gives everyone a break from that overwhelming feeling. It's a really good message, especially in the overcrowded modern media environment, and it's one I hope more people will take to heart. Now, if you're interested in a little bit of traditional pulp storytelling, I recommend checking out the Anvil Magazine crowdfunder that is linked down below. Several great pulp authors and yours truly have stories appearing in that magazine. There's also 3 original comics, book reviews, and editorials. It's a great chance to get some good storytelling at a decent price, so give it a look if you're interested. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below, and there's a like button and subscribe button down there. You can use those as you see fit, and I'll talk to you later.